Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, Seattle Socialist Mayor Katie Wilson caves because she was about to be hit with massive First Amendment violations after attacking the Seattle Police Department. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
Earlier today, Axios reported that there is a deal on the table that they got from U.S. officials who, we don't know their names, but they claim there is a deal on the table between U.S. and Iran. Gas prices immediately fell massively on this news. However, right now, we don't know if there actually is a deal. The White House is not confirming it. And according to Axios, the deal still needs to be approved by President Trump. So what is the deal itself? According to Axios, you're looking at a 60-day moratorium, memorandum of understanding, extending the current ceasefire. It'll state that shipping through the Strait of Hormuz will be unrestricted, meaning no tolls or harassment, and that Iran will have to remove all mines from the strait within 30 days. You may have seen in some of the news that there were some attacks on Iran by the U.S. Apparently what the U.S. saw was it saw some of these little fishing boat deals trying to put mines in the strait, and the U.S. said, nah, we're not putting up with that, and took them out. Now, according to this, if the strait is unrestricted, then the U.S. will remove its naval blockade. But that will happen in proportion to Iran keeping its end of the deal. The U.S. would also issue some sanctions waivers, which is not lifting sanctions. It's saying, here's basically your hall pass for a week or 2 weeks or 60 days or whatever the case may be to let Iran sell oil. It will also state that the Iranians will commit to not pursuing a nuclear weapon, and that one of the first issues to be discussed during the 60-day window is how to get what's called the nuclear dust, which means all the leftover nuclear material out of Iran, and how to address Iranian enrichment. Do I like this deal? No. Do I hate this deal? No. I'm kind of indifferent on the deal, and here's something else. We don't know if this is actually the deal. Just because Axios reported it, citing unnamed U.S. officials, doesn't mean jack squat. Until we actually know what the deal is, for all we know, this is the janitor at the DOJ discussing, or the Department of War, telling their Axios buddy, yo, I was in the hall the other day and I heard them talking about this thing. And when I was cleaning up and dumping the garbage cans in the room, I heard them talking about a thing. And I'm that U.S. official. We don't know. We don't know. I'd like to hope that Axios' sources are better than that.
You think that's what happens around here with our guy? Like I heard Ari, he was talking about.
First of all, the guy comes in after the show. Second of all, that dude does not speak English. That is for sure. And third of all, I'm not so worried about the dude who cleans toilets without gloves on. So whatever. That's a whole nother thing. Do not touch the doorknobs around here at KVI. That's
he might be that good of a, undercover.
Oh.
He's got you so fooled.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, whatever. That man is listening in on all our conversations along with all our listeners out there. Nothing we do is a secret, my friends. When I have a conversation with, literally last night I'm at an event. I'm at an event talking to a few people who haven't seen me in a while. One of them goes, this is off record, right? I'm like, we're just chilling out. We're just hanging out. And they go, I don't know. I got to be careful with you. It might end up on air. I hear how you bash other people who say things to you. I'm like, first of all, they deserve it. Second of all, I happen to like you. And third of all, that's a fair point. Anywho, I don't think our gloveless toilet cleaning fellow is picking up any trade secrets around here at KVI. We don't know if this is actually the deal. Remember what President Trump said at the beginning? Unconditional surrender. That's what we're looking for. But with the death cult, even at the time, I said, really? Unconditional surrender? You think you're going to get that out of the death cult? I don't know if you're actually going to get that. President Trump is very good, like in basketball, because he's a huge Knicks fan. Unlike Kathy Hochul, President Trump is very good at sticking and moving, as it's called, in the playing. Right? You post, you go. You post, you move. You stick, you move.
I believe you're confusing a pick and roll.
No, then there's the pick and roll. You can pick and roll too.
So stick and move?
Stick and move.
Stick and move is something you do in boxing.
Well, you can stick and move in boxing then. We can stick and move in boxing. We can do
Okay.
all these things.
So
then my
basketball
coach,
and boxing, you stick and move.
Then my coach of 6th grade was using that terminology, pick and roll, stick and move. It was all interchangeable. So I am going to blame him. And I'm also going to reiterate again, the last time I played basketball, I was the ripe old age of, I think, 14.
Did he say float like a butterfly and sting like a bee?
He
too?
never said that.
Okay.
Never said that.
Just making sure.
That one I'm with you on. But he's very good at saying, okay, this isn't working. What do we do next? President Trump is no fool. And he knows that the midterms are coming up, and he knows that everybody's looking at the gas prices. And he knows that the inflation is starting to go back up. And if inflation goes back up and the economy's a mess, you lose the midterms, and you lose them badly. Now, mind you, the Democrats aren't doing themselves any favors by running a whole bunch of crazy candidates. For me, I want unconditional surrender. I am a realist, and I say, why are you extending the ceasefire without having the condition be no nuclear enrichment and you're giving us the dust? Not negotiating for it. Not negotiating for it at all. That shouldn't be negotiating. Or they could stretch this out. In 60 days from now, we're right where we left off. And also, let's do some quick math. Where are we 60 days from now heading into August? And what's August? Now everybody's coming back from vacation. Now everybody's heating up for the election. Now you're almost at November, and that's the election. That's it, my friends. You are there. President Trump is trying to address the economic concerns while hoping to solve everything else. The past few days, the attacks ramping up, probably the reason that Iran is coming to the table is two reasons. One, they say, can we stall this guy any longer because he's kind of getting tired of us? And can we give him a short-term win so he thinks he has a short-term win? And can we get him to stop bombing us? Those are the two things that Iran's thinking right now. You disagree with me, you agree with me, give me a call at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. But if you listen to the lamestream media, for them, we are losing this war. The U.S. has lost this war. I saw some crazy things. We're out of ammunition. You really think the USS Roosevelt, the USS Abraham Lincoln is out of ammunition? I have trouble believing that. I don't believe it at all. They say, we have no resources. Iran holds all the cards. These are literally statements from mainstream media like the Washington Post, like the New York Times. All of them are saying this. Their navy's at the bottom of the sea. They're using fishing boats with mines that don't work half the time. That's what's going on. Their Air Force doesn't exist anymore. It's not like in Top Gun Maverick, where there's a few antiquated planes and a couple of fifth-generation fighters. It does not exist. Their leadership, decimated. They don't even know who's running the country right now. Their economy, in total shambles. Their oil production, they can't keep producing oil because they got nowhere to store it because everything's blocked up in the blockade. They want this to end as much as we want this to end. So I think that's why you're finally getting a deal. But who are all the people who are claiming, oh, we've lost the war. Oh, it's over. It's done with. Well, they're the enemy within. They are the enemy within. As exciting as it has been to watch the primaries over the past few weeks, 118 Trump-backed candidates have won the primary so far. In fact, I think that's a clean sweep. Everybody Trump endorses makes it through the primaries. Now, this is something that's expected. In the primaries, you do this. You go to the base, and then you moderate for the general election. That's what you do. And so, who's the base of the Republican Party? MAGA, that's your base. You go to them, you want Trump's endorsement, you get Trump's endorsement, you're going to win. It doesn't mean you're going to win the general election, but it does mean you're likely going to win the primary, as we saw what happened with Ken Paxton in Texas, who was outspent, outgunned, outvolunteered, you named it, got Trump's stamp of approval, boom. That's where he's going. But who are the Democrats catering to in their races? And this is what's very troubling. Let's start with Elizabeth Warren. So, Elizabeth Warren used to have this group that fundraised for her, right? This group used to fundraise for Elizabeth Warren. Where did it go to? It's a group that has now rebranded themselves Track APAC. Track APAC is an anti-Israel, anti-American group that is trying to say if you get money from Americans who live in America that like support for Israel, then guess what? You're an enemy of the state. You're an enemy of the state. Well, now that group is supporting Elizabeth Warren and other Democrats, but this was an Elizabeth Warren who's a far leftist group. Who are the Democrats running for office right now? Graham Plattner up in Maine. Graham Plattner was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, even though he's trying to make it look like he's an oyster farmer. He is most certainly not an oyster farmer. This is a guy who grew up wealthy. He didn't come from humble beginnings. And this is a guy who has a Totenkopf, an SS tattoo on his chest. This is a guy who is not just a radical anti-Semite. This is a guy who's a radical anti-American lunatic who's a socialist. And the Democrats all said, hey, let's get on board and endorse this guy. Across the country, you're seeing more and more Democrats back more and more radical candidates. In fact, you're seeing Democrats primarying Democrats that they don't think are extreme enough for them. Look what's happening right here in Washington. Lauren Davis, pretty lefty Democrat, but you can still have a conversation with her, is getting primaried by Imran Siddiqui, who is a terrorist-supporting president of the local chapter of CARE, the Council of American Islamic Relations, which has ties to Hamas, an unindicted co-conspirator in the Holy Land trial. That's who the Democrats are supporting against one of their own who's been in office for years. You look at this guy in Michigan, another terror supporter, full-on terror-supporting lunatic. But you guys are going to say to me, Ari, that crazy girl, Galindo, who wanted to put Jews in concentration camps and castrate them, she lost in Texas. That crazy lady who sounds like Miss South Carolina, 2007. She lost in Texas. Yeah, she didn't lose that badly. 40% of her district still voted for her. 40% is far too much. 40% of the party supported the crazy lunatic who said she wanted to put Jews in concentration camps and castrate them. 40% voted for her. 40%. Who are the Democrats catering to? Yesterday, there was a brouhaha on social media, and in the news for that matter, because AOC put on a head covering to go to an end of Ramadan event with the mayor of New York City, the radical Islamist Zoran Mamdani. Now, some people might say, Ari, that's very, very common. That's what you do out of respect. Aren't you an Orthodox Jew? Don't people go to your synagogue and then put on yarmulkes when they walk in? First of all, it is the dumbest thing in the world to do that. You look ridiculous. Anytime a friend of mine is coming to synagogue for a bar mitzvah or a wedding or something like that, I always say, and you don't have to wear a yarmulke. And they go, you sure? I go, dude, you're not fooling anybody, especially with the cross around your neck. You're not fooling anybody. I'm not going to ask you to do that, just like you wouldn't ask me to put on a cross when I go to your church. So why would I ask you to put the thing on your head? You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that at all. Women who are not Jewish who are coming to synagogue, we don't ask you to cover your hair. You want to cover your hair? Fine, cover your hair. We're not asking you to do that kind of stuff. We don't do that. That's not how we roll. We do our own silliness. And if you want to take on our silliness, that's your business, but then you can't have cheeseburgers. So don't do that. But why is she wearing this head covering, a hijab, without having your head covered? You can't go out unaccompanied in some of these countries. You go out with somebody who's not an immediate relative of yours, you could be put to death. It's by Hamas. We're the Palestinians. And we came to this country to get away from all that, which I totally understand. Look, somebody's of Islamic faith and wants to cover their head on their own. They want to do that as a Muslim woman. That's fine. That's their business. But you have the choice to do that here in America, where in other countries, you don't have the choice to do that. You are forced to do that. In fact, it's been the policy of American officials, Condoleezza Rice, even Michelle Obama, Laura Bush. People have gone to these other countries, gone to these Arab countries, and will not cover their heads to say, we don't have to submit to your will. We are not going to do that. We are going to show that Americans don't do that. We bring freedom everywhere. You want to do that on your own as a sign of your faith or whatever, that is your business, but we are not going to do that. AOC in New York City at a Muslim event is wearing the hijab to say, I will submit to your will. You think I'm reading too much into that? No, I'm not. Because she's reading the tea leaves of her own party, and which direction is her party going towards? Her party is going towards socialism, it's going towards communism, and it's going to radical Islamism. Now, I will say this. There is a big difference between the people who came from those countries and came here to live a free life and wanted a better life for themselves and wanted to get out of Gaza and wanted to get out of the Palestinian Authority and wanted to get out of some of these Arab countries and came here for the freedom. But then there's the ones that came here for all the wrong reasons because they want to live here and they want to have a good life while saying how awful America is and how they want to destroy America. And AOC is signaling to them, I'm on your side. I want to help you. That's what that hijab is all about. I'm on your side. She is seeing the direction her party is going in. We discussed last week about the Democratic autopsy that they did after the election and how terrible it was because it was missing information. What were one of the things we were saying that it was missing from the report that they didn't want to admit? How much the Democrat base hates America. How much the Democrat base hates freedom. How much the Democrat base loves socialism. How much the Democrat base loves communism. And how much they hate Jews. And how much they embrace radical Islam. And how much they embrace Hamas and Hezbollah and other terrorist groups over the only democracy in the Middle East. One of the only places that doesn't force you to cover your hair when you go out in public as a woman, that allows women to drive, that has a pride festival in Tel Aviv every single year. That's the side they're going against. AOC wants to run for president. She's been making moves to run for president. And what she is gambling on is the population growth in the Somali community, the population growth in the Arab community, in the Muslim community. That is what she is counting on. But more than that, she is counting on those white, college-educated kids who have been brainwashed to hate America, who have been brainwashed to hate Jews, who have been brainwashed to hate freedom. That is what she is counting on. And that is who she is signaling. In that way, Zoran Mamdani is more honest. He's always been the radical socialist, communist, Islamist. That is who Zoran Mamdani is. And at least he's honest about it. It used to be that Islamists would hide who they were and try to be all fancy and try and be all nice, and then you would know they're really a radical. Now they're embracing the radicalism openly, and that's what AOC is doing. That is the direction the Democrat Party is going in. She wasn't just covering her head with a scarf. She was covering her head with a hijab. She knows what she is doing, or somebody who's running her knows what they are doing to give out that signal to attend that event. They know very well what they are doing because that is the base of the Democrat Party, and that is who they are trying to cater to. And it's the same people who are in media who are saying, the U.S. is losing the war. We're not losing the war. It's a heavy price to pay for freedom sometimes. We are not losing the war. The Democrats on Memorial Day put out a post that they were forced to take down because of the backlash of the people, the U.S. service members who have died in the conflict with Iran so far. They put out a post basically saying, well, they'd still be alive if not for Trump. That was their Memorial Day post and got such backlash. Basically trying to claim they died for nothing because it's Trump's war. They died to keep us free from the tyranny of radical Islamists, of a nation, a regime that wants to nuke us because we are the big Satan, a country that wants to wipe us from the earth and wants to put everybody under Sharia law. That's what your Democrat Party, the official Democrat Party, was posting on social media. That's who's running the Democrat Party now. That's who the base is running to right now. The moderates are a dying breed in the Democrat Party. That's what you're up against this cycle. So who's the cycle going to be? It's going to be MAGA versus socialist Islamists. There's very few moderates even left in the race right now. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Jay in Olympia. Jay, what's going on, man?
Hey, Ari. It just makes me sick to my stomach as a semi-proud baby boomer. graduating from Seattle Public Schools, Nathan Hale, class of 77, that this anti-Semitism is it's insane. We used to spend an extensive amount of time in school learning about the Holocaust. I am a student of World War II military history and love the military side of World War II. And it just made me sick to my stomach, as all of us were, when we went through the Holocaust and talked about it, and never again. And here we are, fast forward to 2026, and suddenly it's everywhere, and it's just stunning to me, and it's so sad. It's sad. I don't know what else to say. But that's not why I called. I wanted to talk about Iran and about Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so I know what you said, but think about this alternative. How about the Donald, our great president, will continue to string along the Iranians while the Iranians think that they're stringing him along, and, continue with the blockade and the demands and the back and forth, and they continue to wither on the vine or twist in the wind, whatever you want to call it. In the meantime, there's Cuba, or if Kennedy was around, Cuba. And so we do some sort of Venezuela-like action. Hopefully it's swift, it's short, it's decisive, like Venezuela. We get Raul, he's sitting in a jail in Miami, and then we see real world, the humanitarian rescue operation that the American people are going to conduct to get the Cuban people out of the rut and the filth and the tyranny of communism on that beautiful island.
I agree with you how wonderful that would be. And maybe they could start driving new Chevys as opposed to old 57 Chevys, or maybe we could hook them up with a deal for my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. But you know what the problem is?
Fords. Don't forget about Fords.
And Fords, right. I'm not a big fan of Fords, but I'll say this. That's not because I'm sponsored by Dodge. I've never liked Fords. But I will say this.
Okay.
I will say this, is that the issue is you had people like Pramila Jayapal going to that country and talking about how wonderful it is. And the radical left will go bonkers on that. And because the moderate Democrats are beholden to the radical left, what they're going to do is they're going to say, how dare you take out that communist regime? You're right, Jay. I completely agree with you. But watch the blowback. That's what's going to happen. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, speaking of socialists, Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson is on the defensive after she has yet another massive boondoggle that's now gone viral. Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. So we are days away from the Third World Cup here in Seattle. We know that now they're telling us Ebola might be coming because people are coming from countries that have Ebola. Woo! Can't wait for the Third World Cup. Import the Third World, get the Third World. Wow, I am so excited for this entire thing. Very excited. Going to be lots of fun, right? What else are you importing with the Third World? Now, it's a ripe target for terrorists. God forbid, God forbid, God forbid, God forbid, God forbid. But it's a ripe target, especially when the idiot socialist forehead mayor is out there saying, hey, we got to turn off all the cameras. We're not going to use them because they're racist, because they're bigoted, or whatever today's excuses. Seattle Council member Rob Saka, just a couple days ago, was talking about how he crossed the finish line at the 2013 Boston Marathon right before the bombing. This is what he said in council chambers while wearing the gear he was wearing while he was running.
All the confusion, all the fear, all the chaos, and the realization that such a joyful global event could, unfortunately, become a mass casualty incident in an instant. And I'll also never forget how very critical security cameras, including CCTV, were in helping law enforcement quickly identify the perpetrators, quickly understand what happened, and help prevent further tragedies. Yes, it did. There were 3 fatalities that day, with hundreds more critically injured and forever maimed. Thousands more psychologically maimed. No visible scars, but psychologically maimed and traumatized. 3 victims. Fatalities. Martin Richard, an 8-year-old boy. Crystal Campbell, a 29-year-old restaurant manager. Lu Lingzi, a 23-year-old grad student from China studying at Boston University. And hundreds more victims. I was there. That experience changed me forever. Again, I know what chaos feels like. I know what helps law enforcement rapidly respond and investigate afterwards.
Now, I'm sorry for what you went through, but did it change you that much that you supported the anti-police socialist? Because you backed Katie Wilson. And she said she was anti-cop, and she said she was anti-cameras. None of this should be a surprise. Now, if you've had a change of heart, welcome to the party, pal. But then come on my show and talk about it. Because we've invited you many times, many times that you've been in office, and you refuse to come on the show. If the head of the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee for the Democrats will come on this show, why is a nobody city council member afraid to come on the show? Because I might ask him the hard question about, you knew she was anti-police when you backed her. Katie Wilson is so scared of bad PR right now. She's doing less public appearances, speaking less in public. In fact, a clip that I posted in January went viral just the other day because people are looking for Katie Wilson content. But she went viral for another reason. We discussed this a little bit a couple days ago. But what happened was the Seattle Police Officers Guild posted a video showing a crime where the perpetrators were caught because of the cameras. Katie Wilson's office threatened the Seattle Police Officers Guild with discipline hearings with the Seattle Police Department, with legal proceedings, if they didn't take the video down, claiming they got the video from internal sources. They got the video the same way the rest of us saw it, from Jeremy Harris over at Como News. That's how they got the video, and they shared it on social media, and they called her out. What was going on? Katie Wilson didn't like being called out for the fact that these cameras are being used to catch criminals, and she thought she could threaten somebody in the Seattle Police Officers Guild. So much so that the Seattle Police Officers Guild threatened her with a lawsuit, threatened her with going after her for First Amendment violations. And now we know that she caved. She caved. because she was faced with the facts, which is great. So she loses again on the national stage. In fact, Kent Liu from the Seattle Police Officers Guild will be joining us later in the show today at 4:30 to give you all the fun details, and there are way more fun details about this entire story. But why is she being so obstinate? Why does she not want those cameras on? Are you so committed to being anti-ICE or pro-hookers or whatever the case may be that you want those cameras off? If, God forbid, there's a terrorist incident and those cameras are off, oh my God, the national news stories, the international news stories. Because I want you to remember the Boston Marathon bombing, as Councilmember Rob Saka correctly pointed out. They caught those two guys, white hat and black hat. They caught the Tsarnaev brothers using those kind of cameras, using closed cameras from restaurants and shops and stores, using cell phone camera footage. That's how they caught those guys. If, God forbid, something happens, part of this is going to be on her. Part of this is going to be on her. And I will tell you, this is yet another sign of the fact that she is caving to her activist base, and that as soon as the World Cup is over, she's going to cave to them on everything. She's just trying to get through the World Cup right now. But watch how quickly Seattle reverts to Seattle in the downtown area and the waterfront area as soon as the World Cup is over. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Andrew in Duval. Andrew, what's going on, man?
Hey, Ari. I don't know if you remember me, but I'm the 15-year-old who called a few weeks ago.
What's up, man?
You were talking like earlier about how pretty much all of the big money is going hard left and supporting socialism, etc., for the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was wondering, like, what happens to moderate Democrats? Like they're kind of stuck between like a rock and a hard spot, and they either have to pivot hard left or like they're left out of their own party. So like, where do they go from there?
Sort of. Who's the Democrat that you like the most right now, Andrew? We've never discussed this, but I'm going to predict I know who it is. Who's the Democrat you like most in the Senate right now?
Oh, in the Senate. I like Fetterman. Actually.
Okay.
Fetterman
Why do you like Fetterman?
I mean, I would say he's almost like, I feel like a double agent. He's like both sides in a way. He's like, he's like standing up for these conservative values, which is awesome. And like, he's like a Democrat who's taking it to like a reasonable level, not like he's actually thinking through things. He's not.
Okay,
like,
Andrew, I'm giving you a homework assignment because summer vacation's coming up, and I know the last thing you want over summer vacation is homework. I want you to go look up some of JFK's speeches on national defense and the economy. I want you to go look up some of JFK's speeches, and I want you to tell me if they line up with John Fetterman or if they line up with the current Democrat Party. Because what you're going to find is that John Fetterman is a classic liberal versus the people who call themselves liberals now. And you have a choice where you can be a John Fetterman and you can be that in a purple district because you're going to get conservatives who are going to support you and you're going to get moderate Democrats who are going to support you. And then you've got people like Adam Smith. Adam Smith in our very own Washington, who I think was kind of sort of entertaining the left a little bit and then realized how quickly they're burning flags in his driveway and everything else. And he's like, no, I'm going back to moderates. And he's usually pretty consistent, by the way. And even though him and I disagree with a lot of stuff, he's starting to sound more like a conservative. In fact, you can listen to the interview I did with him yesterday. Democrats don't just have a choice to go conservative or go hard left. Democrats have a choice. Do they want to go common sense, old school liberal, JFK liberal? Or do they want to go along with the crazies? And if the Democrats were smart, they would reject the crazies, say, no, we're not dealing with you guys anymore. And they would pivot over to back to the JFK things, and they would say that out loud. But most of them are too afraid of their base to do so.
Yeah.
Andrew, appreciate you calling the show. I want you to go look up those speeches and tell me what you find, okay?
Oh, yeah, I will. Definitely.
Right. Appreciate you being part of the show. Enjoy summer break if I don't talk to you before then. You won't be part of the show. You give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, my friends, Jill Biden says she thought Joe Biden was having a stroke during his debate against President Trump. Well, then why didn't you throw in the towel? You're going to let him die? Like Apollo Creed? Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. I said after seeing this story, I DM'd my wife, and I said, sweetie, please never be Jill Biden. Don't ever Joe Biden me. Just please don't. If I get to be old and senile and I can't do radio anymore, or I can't do any of the stuff I do anymore, put me in a room, put a microphone there, and just tell me I'm on air all the time. Just do that. Don't let me keep going out into the open and doing speeches where people feel bad for me and, oh, that's nice, we're going to keep using you as the bread earner. Luckily, my wife makes her own living too. But please don't do that to me. Or better yet, put me on a boat and tell me that's my studio. Give me a Viking funeral. I mean, just light me up. Just do that. We'll be good to go. Okay? I don't want to be a burden on anybody. Jill Biden is the worst wife in the world. The absolute worst wife in the world. She's doing an interview promoting her new book. And she said about the debate between President Trump and Joe Biden, then former President Trump and current Joe Biden, the one that ended his political career. Here's what she said.
Were you horrified as you saw it unfold?
I wasn't horrified, I was frightened because I had never, ever seen Joe like that.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
Before or since? Never.
Or since?
Yes, or
You've
since.
never seen him like
Never.
that?
No.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke. And it scared me to death.
Joe, you did.
Okay, hang on a second. If it scared you to death and you thought he was having a stroke, why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you pull a Rocky IV? Why didn't you stop the fight? If you thought your husband was in such bad shape, there were commercial breaks. You guys could have claimed there was a technical issue. I know how you guys do your spin. You could have pulled him off stage and taken him to the hospital. Or how about this? After the debate was over, why didn't you take him to the hospital if you thought he was having a stroke? Instead, what did Jill Biden do right after the debate?
I can't thank you all enough for staying and for being here and for all your support. Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Lie!
You held a political rally when you thought your husband had a stroke. You are the worst wife in the world. And you're lying. We all know you're lying. Never seen him before or since. How many times did we see him like that? How many times did we see him like that? Why were you the one holding the cabinet meetings, Jill? Worst wife ever. Ever, 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 ever. You agree with me or disagree with me? Give me a call. 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go to the KVI studio line. Take a call from Mary in Seattle. Mary, what's going on?
Hey, hi, how you doing, Mary?
What's up, man?
Regarding that whole X campaign, that PSYOP on X, that's saying, APAC and this, APAC that. Who is funding all the groypers? Like Hassan Piker.
So it's
like
funny.
Candace Owens.
It's funny you mentioned this.
Who is funding all of those?
I don't know for sure who's funding all of those, but we know that Hassan Piker literally said that the guy who paid for his trip to Cuba was Roy Singham, who is a communist who lives in China, who supports communist causes because he's a billionaire. Hassan Piker literally said that.
From Cold Pink, right?
Yes, exactly.
Roy Singer from Cold Pink.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
co-founder. His wife is a co-founder.
exactly. So his wife is a co-founder of Code Pink. Medea Benjamin, who's also being investigated by the Department of Justice.
Susan Benjamin, not Medea. Susan Benjamin.
Same thing. Yeah, it's the other one, right? So that you've got her, the lunatic who wanders around the Capitol campus yelling at Congress people for Code Pink. She went on that Cuba trip too. So right away, they're admitting it's Roy Singham. We know there's other people like Soros who are funding the protest on campuses. Who's funding the bots? We know some of them are Iranian. We know some of them are Russian. We know some of them are Qatarian. Before getting into the conspiracy theories, that's what we actually know. But it's amazing to me, Mary.
Roy Singham is also CCP, isn't
yes,
he?
It is 100% CCP. Yes, absolutely. So you want to know who's funding this kind of stuff? Enemies of America.
China.
Enemies of America and China. Like China's an enemy of America. And I know, Neri, I know this, that anytime I post something about Israel, anytime I post something about Iran, anytime I post the stuff, the bots come out in force. And you know who else they were coming out for? They were coming out for anytime I bash Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Tom Massey. That's when the bots come out every single time. Appreciate the call, buddy. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, Seattle's making the national news again, and for crazy Democrat virtue signaling that even Democrats are making fun of. We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. My sister-in-law sent me an Instagram video. And basically, my sister-in-law, whenever she thinks it's something that's going to be content for the show, I always look at it and go, yeah, we did this like a week ago, but that was very kind of you, very sweet of you to send it over, very nice of you. She sent me something that this is old news, by the way. This is old news, but it made it to the national news. So there's this internet show called Have I Got News for You, otherwise known as HIGNFYUS, Have I Got News for You. And it's got a bunch of, the lefty celebrity types. Some of them you know, some of them you don't know, some comedian types. And they discuss insane news. Well, wouldn't you know? Washington State made the rounds. Now, as soon as I start watching this thing and they start talking about it at the beginning, I go, oh, I know exactly which story. I know exactly which story they're about to do. A little late, but I know which story. See if you can play the same game I played this morning when I was watching this video.
Callers to Washington State hotline press 2 for Spanish and get blank instead.
I know the real answer, but I'm going to wait.
Callers to Washington State hotline press 2 for Spanish and get much better hold music instead.
Amber,
Callers to Washington State hotline press 2 for Spanish and get English with a Spanish accent instead.
Wow.
Points. Callers to Washington State hotline press 2 for Spanish and get accented AI English instead. Here's local news reporting on the weird AI voice that's answering calls for Washington State.
For Maya Edwards, the Washington Department of Licensing was the agency lost in translation. Last July, her husband called them and followed the AI-generated prompts. Here's what they heard.
Thank you for calling the Department of Licensing Customer Support Center. Your estimated wait time is less than 3 minutes.
Jenny, you're Puerto Rican. What is the percentage of that is funny and you are horrified? What is it, 80-20?
For me, I'm like at a 75-25 split. I'm 75 horrified, 25 amused. This company said, para ser ofendida, oprima al dos.
Those are liberals making fun of our liberals because of their virtue signaling. And the craziest thing for me, does some random employee get tasked with that? Hey, guys, we need you to do the Spanish voice. Can you do us a favor and do that? How dumb is the employee who puts that up there, but who approved it? Did anybody approve it? That's what goes on. That's your virtue signaling. We're going to do English in a Spanish accent using an AI voice. Yes. When even your liberals here, your leftists here in Washington are being made fun of by leftists across the country, you know you have gone too far. Far too far.
This is what drives me nuts about stories like that is just come forward and tell us how it happened. Yeah. Please. I want to know the steps. What
I'm going to tell you how it happened.
Who missed what?
I'm going to tell you how this happened. I'm going to tell you exactly what it was. Somebody assigned a government worker who's somebody's intern or lower end of the food chain. You know, like, for example, when young Zach, before young Zach had like the real jobs around here, when he was our intern, hey, Zach, can you do something with that AI? Right? Can you do something fun with that? Sure, boomer, I'll do it for you. No problem. And then it's like, great, I got that off my checklist. Now I'm just going to upload whatever the kids sent me. And the kids sent, now Zach never would have done this because Zach's smart. But you get some government intern or somebody's nephew who got a job. And then that thing goes up there and their supervisor's a dumb do who didn't bother checking the intern's work. And they just uploaded the thing. I guarantee you that's how it happened.
It does remind me of a time around here before your time, but still my time.
Yes.
Where we had signs made up to go down and protest down at Olympia.
Yeah.
And the sign was supposed to say, taxes suck. And I have it hanging on my wall as a reminder. We ended up getting taxes sucks. And it went through 5 people, maybe more. And none of us saw it or read it that way until the day we were handing them out to people down in Olympia, and a person goes, taxes sucks? We go, whoopsies, can we get those back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it happens, I guess.
I'll tell you something, Kevin. Little confession here. I've seen that thing hanging on your wall. I never read it out loud.
Yeah.
Ever, because it just went, I see that thing hanging there. I'm like, oh, it's nice. Kevin thinks taxes suck. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now that you're saying it, I feel very stupid. Now you know how something like that can get approved. That's exactly how. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Your chances to win fantabulous prizes. Plus, also, Turd Ferguson turns out he's a liar, and money isn't going to hiring cops, and crime rates are getting worse. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homo, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming this hour, Seattle Police Officer Guild President stops by to say whether or not we're ready for the World Cup. But before we get to any of that, my friends, got some breaking news for you right now.
Talk Radio 570 KVI, breaking news on the Ari Hoffman Show.
Did you know an attempted mass shooting was prevented in Washington State today? I had no idea this even happened. It's up on the Seattle Police blotter right now. Seattle police officers stopped a shooting in Tacoma that would have been at a university. According to Seattle Police, a Tacoma college student has been hospitalized and served with an extreme risk protection order after investigators say he posted a picture of a shotgun on a messaging app referencing a mass shooting. On May 26, just before 1 p.m., patrol officers received a crisis complaint after a photograph of a shotgun was seen on a Discord message. The weapon was linked to a student who, according to police, had become increasingly erratic and radicalized and clearly modeling his ideology off a mass murderer. University officials were quickly notified. While investigating, police discovered the man, who lives in Seattle, had left his apartment with a shotgun-carrying case. Patrol officers working with Seattle Police Department's crisis response team found the man and detained him, believing he now presented an imminent danger to the public. The man did not have the shotgun on him. Paramedics transported the man to a local hospital for a medical evaluation and served him with the extreme risk protection order, which prevents individuals of high risk of harming themselves or others from accessing firearms when there is a demonstrated evidence that the person poses a significant danger. The man told police he buried the shotgun in the woods near Robinson Community Park in Bellevue. Police searched the area, found the gun, with writing now scratched off. Officers seized the weapon as evidence. Detectives in the crisis response unit are assigned to this case. Now, in this case, everything worked the way it should. Everything worked the way it should. People saw a person who's in crisis, having a problem, contacted the authorities, reported it. The authorities did what they do and went and handled it. I'm pretty impressed that Seattle Police Department actually had the resources to go deal with this and didn't just call the Tacoma Police Department. This is the way it should work. This is what happens when everything works correctly. You know what this would have been otherwise? The story we do all too often here on the show. Well, he was on our radar, right? That's what law enforcement sometimes. Well, he was on our radar. Well, I knew that guy was nuts, but I didn't think he was like shoot up a college nuts. That's how these stories normally end. Now, thank God, looks like Law and Order coming back a little bit here, where law enforcement's being allowed to deal with this stuff. I wonder if it had been something else, would they not have been able to do their jobs? If it hadn't been a gun, if it had been a knife, I'm planning a stabbing attack, would they have been able to do their jobs? Or because it's a gun, they were able to do their jobs? Because around here, Democrats hate guns. I'm kind of curious about that. This could have had a much different ending. A much different ending. And I know some of you are going, Second Amendment. Guys, this is what we talk about. I don't think anybody here who's in their right mind thinks that somebody who's having a mental crisis should still be allowed the firearm. And when we talk about red flag laws, this is what they're supposed to be. Now, I know some of you are going to say, but Ari, they could say you're in a mental crisis because you're a conservative. I get it. I do. Believe me, I understand. Believe me, I understand. But here, everything worked the way it's supposed to work. And we had a good outcome. Meanwhile, we have people in office that demonize law enforcement officials all the time. For example, we have people like Turd Ferguson and Nick Brown who are demonizing federal law enforcement agencies for getting rid of rapists, murderers, child molesters from our streets. You remember a few weeks ago, we had U.S. Attorney for Western Washington, Neil Floyd, on the show. And he said he had a meeting with Katie Wilson trying to solve this problem. And Katie Wilson, without telling him, called the mayor, called the governor, called all these people to come to this meeting. Called the attorney general, called the governor, called everybody to come to this meeting, and they all showed up at the meeting, so he gets ambushed. And he says, guys, how can we sort this out? How can we sort this out? We just want the really bad ones. We just want them. and Turd Ferguson and Nick Brown, Katie Wilson didn't say much, according to him. They said, no, well, it would be a violation of the Keep Washington Working Act. So you named the thing the Keep Washington Working Act, but it's a thing that made us a sanctuary state. So they know full well that when ICE goes into neighborhoods, they're going to find more people who are illegals and round up more people that way, and more chaos is going to happen, rather than turning over the murderers, the rapists, the child molesters. Rather than doing that, U.S. Attorney tried to make a compromise with these guys, and they said no. They said, how about no? And in fact, they've been doing everything in their power to make it harder for law enforcement to do their job. Well, today, Department of Justice said, no more, we're done with this. So today, the Department of Justice, last night, the Department of Justice filed this lawsuit. We found out about it today. Filed lawsuits against Maine, Washington, Oregon, and Massachusetts, challenging their unconstitutional policies, denying confidential license plates to federal agents. This comes after each state refused to rescind their unconstitutional policies in response to a prompt letter from the department explaining the policy's illegality. So what does that mean when it's not legal speak? Let's say you're an ICE agent, and let's say you're going to round up a criminal. You've got undercover vehicles, and you want to get Washington plates so it blends in with the other vehicles because you want to be all legal-like. You don't want to drive unmarked vehicles. You literally want to do what the left wants. You want to know who these people are, and that's registered to the federal government, all that. They wouldn't issue the plates. Wouldn't issue the plates, which now means that these guys would have to drive a vehicle illegally, which just by doing that, you might even have a cause to give the defense to get their client off the hook with you because, oh, you didn't use the vehicle, you're driving an illegal vehicle. Oh, look, he's acquitted. Or you have to use your own personal vehicle. You think an ICE agent wants to use their own personal vehicle because you've got the lunatics out here who dox ICE agents, and now they've got your license plate, and now they know your address, and now they know where you live, and now they know everything else? No. So you want to get these ones that just say they're registered to the federal government through Washington, through Maine, through Oregon, and through Massachusetts. And they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it because federal agents bad. Federal agents super, super bad. You know what I think they should do? I think they should stop using the big Suburbans. I think they should stop doing those and just mix those letters around a little bit and instead get Subarus. I say you buy used Subarus with Bernie Sanders bumper stickers all over them. I think that's what you do with every cause in the world. You get the used Subaru, you give them to ICE, and ICE does the ICE raids with the used Subarus. I think I think we're going to redo how we do undercover enforcement here. Yes, everybody will assume what they assume about Subaru drivers, right? So the Department of Justice wrote, not only are these policies unconstitutional, but as alleged in the complaint, these policies threaten the operational effectiveness and safety of federal agents who have faced a wave of targeted harassment. If federal agents cannot use confidential plates, dangerous individuals can track and evade law enforcement. There is no justification for states to deny confidential license plates to federal agents. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said the Department of Justice will exercise any and all lawful authorities to support the brave men and women of law enforcement. Law enforcement officers risk their lives every day to keep Americans safe and must be able to carry out their duties effectively. By denying undercover license plates to DHS components, including ICE, while issuing them to their own state agencies, these governors are pursuing discriminatory obstructionist policies against federal law enforcement. These actions undermine federal immigration enforcement, allow dangerous criminals to escape justice, and terrorize American communities. He's 100% right. But I want to go back a couple sentences here. To this one here. By denying undercover license plates to DHS components, including ICE, while issuing them to their own state agencies. What are they referencing there? Well, I'll tell you what I think they're referencing. They are referencing how the Washington State Legislature just granted the Attorney General unprecedented, unconstitutional powers to hide the identities of their investigators to come investigate you with no cause, with no warrant, completely unconstitutional, to hide their identities, to go after you. So while they're saying, we don't want the feds doing it because they work for Trump, we want to do our own investigations. So literally at the same time while the Washington legislature was passing that ridiculous unenforceable law that ICE agents can't cover their faces, which is just pure virtue signaling because ICE doesn't have to listen to Washington State. They were saying, we want to hide the identities of the Attorney General investigators so they can go after whoever they want here in Washington State, whoever they want, like radio hosts, like members of the media, like conservative groups, like Republican groups, whoever they want for any reason. We can investigate you anytime. Find me the man, I'll show you the crime. Find me the man, I'll show you the crime. That's what it sounds like here, doesn't it? That's what it sounds like. Well, now the Department of Justice says we're not putting up with this anymore. Do you remember a few months ago, Washington State went so bonkers crazy that Border Patrol was having trouble scanning the license plates of whoever came into the country. So you'd have no idea. You know what happens when you go to the border. You pull up, you stop here, flash, you get the pictures of the front plate, the back plate. You pull up. By the time you pull into the booth, looking at your passport is pretty much just for performative. They already know who you are by your plates, assuming you're driving your car. Does it match the passport? Yes. Any outstanding warrants? Okay. Go on through. They ask you the questions to try and make you nervous. That's what they do, to see if you're up to no good, to see if you're smuggling people or drugs or whatever the case may be. And Washington State worked to stop that. You had the whole country having a problem at the borders with the pictures because of Washington State fighting this kind of stuff. They don't care about law enforcement. They do not care about law enforcement. In fact, they demonize law enforcement every single step they take. Every single thing they do, they demonize law enforcement. Turd Ferguson lies. We know that all he does is lie. He lies. He says he got all this money to get more law enforcement because Washington State has the least amount of officers per capita. Well, then why haven't you hired anybody? It's been a year since you got that $100 million or whatever it was that we said at the time isn't going to go to actually hiring law enforcement. So it's been a year. You haven't hired anybody. Where'd the money actually go? Turns out it's got strings attached because Turd Ferguson just likes law enforcement that he can control. That's the kind of law enforcement he wants. Nick Brown running the Attorney General's office, investigating anybody who's an enemy of Turd Ferguson. Guaranteed. Well, at least now his lies are being called out a little bit. You remember yesterday, we did a whole deep analysis of his tweet talking about the income tax, how he claimed he was never going to lower the threshold for the millionaire tax to actually include anybody. You remember all this? Remember this? Well, what's funny is he got slapped with a community note over on X. The community note says the tax is not constitutionally locked to incomes over $1 million. Democrats rejected Amendment 696, requiring voter-approved limits on the threshold and rate. The bill's necessity clause prevents referendum, so voters can only challenge it via initiative, and that's in response to him claiming, oh, I'm really, really excited for the voters to have their say. No, you're not. You did everything you possibly could to make sure the voters didn't have a say on this thing. At least is being called out publicly for it. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Les and Alan. Les, what's going on?
Oh, just enjoying the show there, Ari. But you were talking about those feds traveling around Seattle, and if they really want to go incognito, they travel with expired tags.
Then they'll blend in. Wait a second. They use Dodge Chargers, right? They still using the Dodge Chargers for the cop cars? I got one with expired tabs in the garage right here at KVI. Got blacked out windows and everything, ready to go. Should I just lend them my car?
Lease program. There you go.
Yeah. ICE, sponsored by Rent and Chrysler. We can just put that out. Oh, I don't think that's the heat they kind of want over there, but that's kind of funny. Yes, that's what we could do with my Dodge Charger. We'll just send it out there into the wild. And then one day you could say, this car, driven by radio host Ari Hoffman, by the Zionist aggressor Ari Hoffman, and used by ICE. Yes, it'll sell for big money on conservative marketplaces, right?
I'm digging it.
Les, appreciate the call. Appreciate the sense of humor, man.
Okay. Right.
You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Matt, in response to what I said about the Subarus, he says, this is the way. This is what we should. This is the way. Let's use the Subarus. Let's do it. This is exactly what we should be doing. Yes, I completely agree, Matt. That's what we should be doing. What happens when you don't have enough police officers? What happens when you demonize law enforcement? What happens when you give in to radical activists? Well, I'll tell you what happens. Washington State drivers are far more likely to wake up to an empty driveway than almost anyone else in America. A new national study by SaveMax Auto, it's an insurance company, found Washington ranks second in the nation for vehicle thefts, with nearly 186,000 vehicles stolen between 2021 and 2025. Hang on, I'm scratching my head here. Why between 2021 and 2025? Oh, that's when the idiot Democrats in the Washington State legislature decided to ban police pursuits, and stolen cars skyrocketed because criminals said, well, if they're not going to pursue me, I can steal the car. In fact, better yet, I could steal a car, commit another crime with it, ram it into a pot shop, whatever the case may be, and nobody's going to catch me. Nobody's going to do anything about it. The only state that had a worse theft than us was Colorado. The report, compiled using FBI Crime Data Explorer data and U.S. Census figures, found Washington recorded 2,380 vehicle thefts per 100,000 residents over the 5 years. Even more alarming, more than a third of those thefts happened at or near victims' homes. These aren't being stolen out in the wild. They're stealing them from your driveway. According to the study, 68,312 vehicles were stolen from residential areas in Washington, accounting for almost 37% of all thefts statewide. The spike in car thefts comes after years surrounding Washington Democrats' restrictions on police pursuits, which we warned you they would embolden criticals. Yes, the response to George Floyd, a drug addict, drug dealer, counterfeiter who held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. The response to that is not, maybe we should analyze police and how they do things, even though he didn't die because of Officer Derek Chauvin. Maybe you should just go, maybe we should just not do those holds anymore. Instead, it's no, we should defund, abolish, dismantle the entire police department. That's what we should do, right? And look how that worked out. Thank God for Let's Go Washington, bring forth that citizen initiative where we said, no, we want to reinstitute police pursuits. And no Democrat was going to vote against it once you see how many hundreds of thousands of signatures came in for that thing. Just like what's happening right now with the Washington State income tax. I told you yesterday that Let's Go Washington broke records for how many signatures they brought in. If you haven't gotten your signature sheets yet, they are in the mail. If you need signature sheets, go to letsgowashington.com, letsgowa.com. And what you will find there is you can order signature sheets. They will be sent to your house. You can mail them right back. Or alternatively, you can find a signing event, a signing location, so you can sign those things. Get them in ASAP. I want to continue breaking records. We go to the KVI studio line. Take a call from Craig in Puyallup. Craig, what's going on?
Okay, I've generally been a Ford guy, but I'm thinking an Ari Hoffman or a Ice Edition Dodge. You could have the instrumentation in Hebrew or Yiddish. We could have like a little. You know how the old you probably don't remember Union 76 antenna ball.
Yes.
Anymore.
Yes, I actually did have one of those. I did have one of those.
Okay.
I got it in California because my mom's from California. Yeah, we got them for that. I think we had one in the house somewhere, and I'm like, why am I playing with this thing? I didn't even know what 76 was because they didn't have them on the East Coast at the time. I'm just like, I don't know what 76 is, but there's a ball. Let's throw it around. Great, fantastic.
But it's cool. So I'm just thinking, maybe some could go to a fundraiser for, I don't know, ICE or you, I don't know, to get you, what was that? I forgot what your drink of choice is that you never get to finish at an event.
Oh, the old fashioned. I don't think we should mix the alcohol with the car event there, sir. That may not be the best. You had me up until the mixing those two together. But I think this could be a lot of fun. What do you say we auction off a Dodge Charger, the Ari Hoffman edition Dodge? Oh, watch, the Gaming Commission's going to be all over me now because you have to get special permission to do those kind of contests and do those kind of things, and somebody's going to say, Hoffman's giving away a car on his show. Just watch. You know what?
Yeah.
I like this. Okay, we're not going to do the Hebrew on the dashboard because, that's not going to work for anybody. But instead, you know what I want? I want Donald Trump's voice on the GPS. That's what I want. You're driving around, and if it screws up, right, all of a sudden you're just going to hear Turd Ferguson. That's what happens. So, like, instead of recalculating, it just goes Turd Ferguson.
Or if you get to where you're going, you've gotten to the best place ever. This has been the best drive I've ever seen.
You're the greatest driver. Let me tell you, you're doing a good job after every turn. That was the best turn I've ever seen. Wonderful job. Fantastic. And now you have reached the golden age of America.
And the radio plays nothing but the Mets and heavy metal.
Oh, well, you got to put KVI on there somewhere, right, man? You got to have that on there.
That's That's default.
We'll make sure it has HD. 101.5 FM HD3. We'll make sure it has that for the crystal clear signal. Podcasts will be programmed in.
Well.
Craig, I think this is a great idea. Let me talk to my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. See what we can work out. Maybe they got a charger sitting around. We can lend it to ICE for a little bit so you could say it was used to apprehend this many rapists and drug dealers, and it'll have the whole police cage in the back. We can get this thing tricked out. I think I should make some calls.
Absolutely.
Craig, you're the man. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Kevin, I really like this idea. I am making calls after the show today. Tell me over on the text line, guys, what do you think? The Ari Hoffman edition charger? We could do that. We'll do it with a new charger. I think this is something we should really check out. I really, really do. Give me a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, my friends, Gavin Newsom. We found out about his tablets for convicted felons that they were watching porn on. So as opposed to actually doing that, dealing with it, cutting back on the spending, he bought more of them. We'll tell you about the latest fraud when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Just before we take that trip, I want to offer you the chance to take some trips, my friends. That's right. We got two contests going on today. The first one is over at KVI.com. You can win a pair of tickets to an advanced screening of Disclosure Day, which is the new Steven Spielberg flick, and you can see it before anybody else at the advanced screening on June 8th at AMC South Center. All you have to do is head on over to KVI.com, enter your information for your chance to win. That's only at KVI.com. The other contest we have going on for you to get a trip is you can win a pair of tickets, 2 tickets, to go see the Roy Rodeo this Saturday and Sunday. So Kevin and young Zach are going to be out there on Saturday. I'm going to be out there on Sunday. And you can see all the rodeo fun, plus come hang out with us, and we'll have KVI swag out there for you, all this fun stuff, American flags, bumper stickers, you know, the usual stuff we give out. Maybe we'll have a couple copies of the Constitution for Turd Ferguson if he's around. We might want to give him one. So for this one, you text the word ROPE, R-O-P-E. Text the word ROPE, as in I'm going to go rope some Broncos. Text the word ROPE, R-O-P-E, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Scott Bessent, it was his chance to give a news conference today. I love the way that the White House is doing this. Every day they send out a different member of the cabinet to do the press conference. Not every day, but once a week they send them out because Caroline Leavitt is on break and she's on maternity leave, and that's fine. But they still want to give the media what they want. So today they're trying to calm down the economy. They send out Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. Now, later in the show, we'll discuss what he said about Iran, what he said about gas prices, but here's what he said about Gavin Newsom.
Governor Gavin Newsom has floated this idea of a 100% state tax on Californians who receive money from President Trump's anti-weaponization fund. Your response to the governor's call for 100% tax?
There's no cure for stupid.
He's such a straight-edge guy that when he says it's a billion times funnier. There's no cure for stupid. Yes, that's Gavin Newsom. What's the latest dumb thing that Gavin Newsom did? Do you remember a couple weeks ago, Chris Rufo from the Manhattan Institute for City Journal wrote an article about how Gavin Newsom was spending hundreds of millions of dollars on electronic tablets for prison inmates, claiming it's so that they could have a better life. And what were they doing with those tablets? Watching porn. So you spent $189 million for inmates, convicted criminals, to watch porn. They're not bettering themselves on tablets. It's about as effective as tablets for students during Zoom school. Not effective at all. So good job. Well done. You would think after he was exposed for, exposed, pun intended, after he was exposed for this really ridiculous waste of money when California has a massive budget crisis, that maybe he would change his ways. He did. He did. Instead of $189 million, he just signed a new contract for $190 million. So he upped it by $1 million. Those must be really nice iPads. Are they the ones, do they still do engraving on the back of the iPads? I'm not an iPad guy. I'm a Microsoft guy. I got the Surfaces. But do they still do the engraving? I remember when I had employees, I would give them gifts of the iPads when they were big, and I would always get them engraved on the back. They still do that?
I don't know. I didn't know that was an option. I mean,
Sure.
probably. I guess, you know.
You order
I
it through the
guess.
website. It's a nice option you got there. You can always get somebody a gift. You can do that.
Yeah, but then, you know, if you want to resell it, then it's got your stupid name on it.
Yes, and then you can't resell the gift, and then you're just stuck with this brick at home for the rest of time. And you can go, remember when we had the iPad? That one was given to me by Ari Hoffman. That's right. So, yeah, you can get them all engraved. Do you put the person's prison number on it? Do you put their prison name on it? Do you put their crimes on it? You put their cell blocks on it?
Do you make it black and white striped? Can you do
They didn't have different options for colors. It was just you get to engrave the metal on the back. Or maybe they're black and white, like the front is white and the back is black or whatever. Maybe it's something like that for the prison motif. No, it's orange these days. It's all orange because black and white, that's racist for some reason. They're all orange.
I was just thinking all those Looney Tune cartoons when anyone would go to jail, they had, you know, the black and white stripes.
Always.
Old-fashioned sort of.
Mm-hmm. And they had the ball and chain tied to their ankles, right?
Yep.
That they're hauling around with them and throwing at people or launching into a cannonball or whatever else it was. Kids have no idea how awesome cartoons used to be. Cartoons, yeah, SpongeBob, not cool anymore. SpongeBob was never cool. I never liked that. So now they're spending $190 million. $190 million. Now, Gavin Newsom and crew don't like people revealing their fraud. You know what they did the same day? The same day this was found out, they passed the Stop Nick Shirley Act, the one that entitles people to sue you for exposing their fraud, the one that is letting people go after you for exposing fraud. We said this was coming. I wrote an op-ed on this for the New York Post. When is this thing dated? I wrote this at the beginning of the month. I said they're going to do this in California, then they're going to do this in Washington, then they're going to do this in Oregon. I knew this was going to happen. As soon as the fraud is exposed, what happens? The blue states start working to shield the fraudsters. That's what it is. Because, no, we don't want to stop that. Because then the gravy train runs out to our supporters and illegal aliens and all these oppressed minorities or whatever it is that they're claiming these days. Nope, they want to shield the fraudsters. What, you think Gavin Newsom is not going to sign that bill that revealed all of his shenanigans and all the Democrat shenanigans? Of course he will. So the California state legislature just voted to pass the Stop Nick Shirley Act so they could target independent journalists. They're already targeting them here in Washington. What, you think it was just, well, we don't like Ari Hoffman, Brandy Cruz, and Jonathan Cho? It was, no, they're the only ones actually doing the reporting. They're the only ones actually doing the reporting. And the fact that the Seattle Times and all these other outlets don't realize that if they ever wrote a negative article, oh, wait, that's why I get it now. This is why they don't write negative articles about the regime in power, because they don't want to end up like Hoffman, Cruz, and Cho. I see what it is. This is why they defend them. This is why they show up in court to watch what happens to us. I see what's going on here. Don't like that fraud being exposed. We have a wonderful KVI listener who's actually been helping me dig into the daycare stuff. Maybe this weekend we'll do a little deep dive into some of the research this person sent me and maybe start posting it next week. It's been too long since we did daycare fraud. I think it's time to expose a little bit more. And maybe we'll start writing up all this fraud that was exposed in our Medicaid program around here. Maybe we'll have to start working on that this weekend. Yeah, sounds like after the Roy Rodeo. After the rodeo's over, I think I'll go home and start working on some fraud stuff, start posting on social media. That sounds like a good use of my day. That'll be a lot of fun. Up next, my friends, Ken Liu, the new president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild, stops by to tell us how he owned Katie Wilson and also whether or not Seattle is ready for the World Cup. We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Seattle socialist Mayor Katie Wilson got really, really mad over a social media post. I love that people say, oh, President Trump, he's attacking the media all the time. And yet, how about we have a little consistency here? How about we call out the Seattle mayor who demanded the Seattle Police Officers Guild remove a social media post because it called out her terrible policies. Joining me now to discuss the new president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild, Kent Liu, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Ari. Thanks for having me.
I'm sorry it's been so long since we invited you on the show. We haven't had the opportunity to even speak to you yet, but this is a really fun topic to kick off our relationship. So why don't we start from the beginning? Katie Wilson doesn't like these security cameras that are being used to supplement police investigations and have helped solve a lot of crimes. And you guys are calling her out for turning them off before the World Cup. Tell me what happened.
Sure. So I was alerted to a post. So this is publicly sourced video from Como. And he says, hey, I think this plays out really well, and basically expose that these cameras, again, are helping us witness these crimes, all right, that are occurring. And so we posted something. We basically said, how many more examples do you need of these cameras working? Well, apparently the mayor's office didn't really like that and didn't like the attention of it. So it seems that they thought that they could control that one piece of it. So I'd received the email, and in that email, it was addressed to me. It said, good morning, Kent, not to SPOG. And she threatened me with policy violations and an SMC violation and told me to pull down the post immediately.
Okay,
So
hang on a second. I want to digest that for a second. So the mayor of Seattle didn't say, hey, Kent, you got a minute to talk about this. Perhaps we can clear up any misunderstandings. It was just immediately, yeah, we're coming after you with all these different violations.
Right. So the mayor's office writes that and makes these accusations. So, you have the body of the email, which is the threat. The to field was me, and the CC field was the chief, deputy chief, chief of staff of SPD, the chief legal counsel for SPD, her general counsel. I mean, all top level, high level officials within city government for what I assume to be intimidation. So we wrote back a professional email that informed them that this was a publicly sourced video. We cited the source, so you can go watch it for yourself. And we informed them that SPOG is an independent entity and is not subject to department policy. Further communication on this, we're including our attorneys, which we did. I think almost a day went by. I thought, clearly, we've informed them. They just had no idea that this video was publicly sourced, right? They assumed that I got this from a leak or I obtained this by inappropriate means, being an officer. I never had any communication with the department at all. So we told them as such. What was surprising is the response that they doubled down. So they broke apart my post and they said that I had made inferences or suggestions, and what was posted suggested that I obtained this. In the video, we shortened the video. We put a red circle in the video to highlight an area to watch for the public. And they informed me that because of the red circle wasn't the original, that clearly this must have been an investigation file. Because
hang on.
Only detectives can put circles on videos.
So something my teenage daughter could do to a video is only able to be done by detectives. Is that basically her claim here?
That is what I inferred from this. It said clearly this is an SPD investigative file because we shortened it and we put a red circle to highlight. So anyway, as a shout out to the video editor on my team, congratulations to your promotion to detective.
This is delicious. This is great. Now, Look, I'm not a boomer, right? But, my daughter and her friends call me one because, anybody older than them is a boomer. I have to ask the teenagers how to do this kind of stuff oftentimes. Look, I'm sure your detectives, there's an area, there's a department which does this kind of stuff, but I'm sure the average detective does not know how to do this kind of stuff. If they do, good on them. But this was their argument, that it must have been sourced from detectives by anything you could do on Microsoft Publisher?
Yeah, essentially it was this has to be an investigation file. So, they're implicating me, but potentially also another unknown SPOG member because I think they're assuming that there's a leak somewhere.
Wow.
And again, we've already provided the source video. We've already provided the link.
Right.
And then what was most upsetting is that they made an inference to our department, another department policy, which is professionalism. And they said that this post undermines public trust in SPD.
What? So
So I thought-
wait, hang on. So by you guys putting out a video of a crime and saying we need to use this video system to catch criminals to stop crime, that undermines trust in SPD.
Public trust in SPD, yeah, which is a direct shout out to, again, our professionalism policy. So it still kind of had this odor of I'm still accusing you of violating policy. So it wasn't until media started digging around and our attorneys got involved that now we received a retraction. So yeah, that's what it took.
Wow.
So we were preparing without that retraction. We were going to file a declaratory judgment action against the city in federal court for First Amendment violations. So they narrowly avoided that. But as I've said before, I mean, we're not going to be intimidated. We were well within our rights of making this opinion known, right? Especially as it relates to public safety.
Yeah.
So, we were ready for this fight.
So I'll tell you this, just as we're talking here, and I know my producers don't like when I workshop stuff on the air, but I have something that maybe you guys should check out. If you go to certain activist pages, I haven't seen it for myself, but I guarantee you it's there. There are certain activist pages which don't like police very much. And my guess is one of them probably shared the post or a screenshot and said, oh my God, they did this, and this, because Katie Wilson's office is run by activists. My guess is they probably just parroted those talking points, put it online, and assumed it was fact without verifying anything, because anybody could have told them. We played that video on air with Jeremy Harris, the reporter from Como News's, his commentary on it, his reporting on it. We played that on air. Everybody knew where it came from, but it just seems like it was a smear against you guys.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, we got that response. It kind of floored me. I really thought there's got to be some, what I don't know what's going on here now, because again, we provided you the source in our response. I thought this thing was done and over. And then they doubled down. So then we got our, some very good attorneys on the phone and had a discussion, and we were going to go full bore. So ultimately what we ended up with was a cease and desist letter with a preservation of evidence.
Wow. So did you get any apology? Anything like that?
We did get a response. I don't know, but I wouldn't call it an apology. But the cease and desist letter did request essentially that you're complying with the preservation of evidence, and you are indeed basically admitting that you're also retracting the other alleged policy violations.
Crazy stuff. Kent, I want to ask you one question before we let you go. Do you think that Seattle is ready for the World Cup, as the mayor says? Because we hear that she doesn't want to turn on the cameras. We're all worried about a terrorist attack. God forbid, God forbid, God forbid. We've got the crime we already have. You guys have lost hundreds of officers because of the defund the police movement and radical politicians. I know you're getting help from the feds, but I'm worried about what happens in the area not near the stadiums, not near the hotels while all this is going on. What would you say if somebody says, is Seattle ready for the World Cup?
Well, I agree with your distinction of, the immediate area around the stadium, right? I think that's going to be very well covered, mutual aid, the feds, everything else. It is kind of the surrounding areas, right? It's really what Seattle has become over, let's just say, the last decade, right? Kind of this unfortunate decay. I think this is the culmination of, being lax on crime and consequences, right? So I'd say the surrounding areas, that's kind of the troubled area. That's my concern, is the open air drug markets, right? All the storefronts being closed, things like that. So in that sense, it's hard to see a World Cup ready city, right? That's inviting, where right there's other things going on in other areas that you're going to want to go and see. I think I'm concerned people might be a bit surprised by some of that.
Yeah, I agree. Kent Liu, president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild, thank you so much for being with us today. God bless you and all your officers. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Ari. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're Oh, that music takes me right back to the last time I watched basketball, which was 1999. The same time the Knicks, last time we're in the finals. Well, remember yesterday we told you the story about Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, trying to call out President Trump, claiming he doesn't know anything about basketball when President Trump said he might go to the NBA finals. You remember this little fun here?
What do you think of him saying he's a lifelong Knicks fan? I think that's how the Times reported it.
I asked him to name the starting lineup from 1993 championship team and see how he does.
Okay. Well, yesterday we made fun of her about the fact that the 1993 Knicks lost the Eastern Conference Finals to the Chicago Bulls. And we know the Bulls won, right? We've all seen the documentary at this point. We all know the 93 Bulls, right?
I'm sure she was meaning, conference champions.
Oh,
Maybe
sure.
that's what it was. She just didn't
Yeah.
clarify exactly.
Didn't stick the landing, you might say. Okay. Well, the last time the Knicks won the championship was in 1973. Now, what's funny is you don't mess with people in sports because there's always somebody who knows more about sports than you. Even me with my Mets, okay? There's always somebody who knows more than you. So everybody went hunting for old clips because she's claiming Donald Trump is just a bandwagon fan. Look, you will not find any clips of me at a Knicks game. I think I went to one or two growing up. Tops, right? I was at the Nets a lot because the tickets were cheap and you could watch the Knicks and the Bulls and everybody else. But people went hunting through the archives and they literally found Donald Trump catching Charles Oakley while sitting courtside in the 90s.
162 lead. The last time diving into the arms of Donald Trump. Gates, what I did? Well, I never realized how big he was until I was holding him. This was not pretty. Did you take a hard hit? A little bit of a hit, but he's great. He's a good guy. I know him, so it's okay. What do you think of the Knicks comeback here? I think they're doing great. It's a great game. All right. Don't get hurt. Have a good time. Let's go back to Vernon Dock.
Okay. So, all right, Ari. All right, that's just one interview. He probably just went to one game and they saw Donald Trump there, right? Nope. It was a whole lot more than one, my friends.
Donald Trump, who is a big Knicks fan and who joins us now. Donald, I know you're a Knicks fan, so are you disappointed that Kobe's not here, or are you glad he's not here because it ups your chances?
Well, I guess you could look at it both ways, but I'd like to see Kobe play. I came here to see my man Kobe.
Defense, too, because the Pacers were held scoreless in the last 2 minutes and 41 seconds after they had...
The number one reason to vote brought the Knicks back.
Shaquille O'Neal's shoe.
Oh, my God.
Right here, which is a serious shoe.
Is that a real shoe?
That's a real shoe. He took it off after a game and handed it to me.
Oh, my God.
I carried it like this.
Yeah, I
So
guess.
this-
Because you don't
this
really
is-
like germs anyway, do you?
No, yeah, from
How
Shaq.
are you? How are you?
Guest celebrity cameraman, Donald Trump. Don, welcome to the telecast.
How you doing, folks?
Fine, thank you. You know, we must be paying our cameraman a pretty penny.
You're paying a lot of money. It's a great job.
So Donald Trump's working the camera at the game. Oh, you know what? That's not enough. He doesn't actually know the Knicks, right? No. How about him shooting free throws with them?
Hey, Isaiah.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Thank you so much.
Melania.
Hello, how you doing? It is so good to see you.
Now, this is a winner.
I think y'all should make the Donald shoot a free throw.
Oh, and the pressure's on. Oh, we got a sub. We got a sub. We got a sub. Yeah.
Got a pretty cheerleader.
Okay. Have we proven the point yet that Donald Trump is actually a Knicks fan? You want to do the Mets? So should we do the Mets next? Is she going to try and make a claim about that? Because we know he's a giant Mets fan. We know he's a giant Knicks fan. And we know he's a fan of New York. He went to other games, too. Just because he's a Mets fan, he's like me. He still likes baseball, so he goes to a Yankee game, goes to a Nets game, goes to whoever's playing because he likes sports, Kathy Hochul.
Next thing you know, she's going to call him out like, name one UFC fighter. Name one. Oh, wait.
I'll be like, hey, wait a second. Donald Trump. How about we do that? Well, technically, he was in the, what was it? The WWE. That's right. So I guess that doesn't technically count. Oh, unbelievable. Yeah, I think we should have some more fun with at Katie Hochul's expense over all that. So Donald Trump is asked if he's going to the NBA Finals. That's the new thing, right? Apparently, he's been invited.
Things are happening.
So are you going to the Knicks game next week?
No, I was invited to I was going to go on Wednesday, but they closed it out very quickly. And Jim Dolan's a great guy. He's, as you know, owns and in charge of Madison Square Garden. He's having a good year. Boy, what a team.
He went on for a while about the Knicks at the cabinet meeting. Hey, we got this problem with Iran. We got all this stuff. Let's talk about the Knicks, shall we? Let's do that right now. Wow, Kathy Hochul. Way to lose yourself every Knicks fan ever. Just in that. You running for re-election anytime soon? Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. What is happening with Iran? Are gas prices going down? Give you all details when we come back during the final hour free-for-all. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour, free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, 2 more chances to win fantabulous prizes. Plus, Pete Serrano, Assistant U.S. Attorney, will be joining us about the Department of Justice taking on Turd Ferguson. But before we get to any of that, I got a really nice email during the break. It's from Teresa. Teresa says she is at the Walmart, the exit door of Walmart, for Let's Go Washington, collecting signatures to repeal the income tax, and she is there until 8 o'clock tonight. So, if you are near the Walmart in Linwood, Washington, the one at 17222 Highway 99, in Linwood, Washington, and you are within the sound of my voice, and you are headed that way, go on over, say hi to Teresa, and say, I heard about this on the Ari Hoffman Show. How quickly can I sign to repeal the income tax? She is at the Walmart at 17222 Highway 99 in Linwood, Washington. She is there at the exit door of Walmart until 8 o'clock tonight. So go see Mother Teresa and go say hi from us here at KVI. If you can't get out to Linwood tonight, that's fine. Head on over to Let's Go Washington's website. Request that the initiative sheets be sent to your house. And I will remind everybody, they are in the mail. They are being mailed out right now, which is why you haven't gotten them yet. So they are on the way. Or you can look up a signing location near you. So you can do that, and you're good to go. Okay? That's how you can do this, my friends. We have to repeal this thing. The numbers are record-breaking that we're bringing right now, but we don't want to lose momentum. In fact, what we want to do is gain steam, gain momentum. I would love to have 1 million signatures. 1 million signatures. Because don't forget, that's an eighth of Washington. We have 8 million people. If 1 million people sign that thing, Democrats gonna be worried. So let's get that done. Meanwhile, in the earlier conversation we were having about the Ari Hoffman edition, the ICE edition of the Dodge Charger. Kevin, it sounds like everybody wants us to do this. Even in Bonnie Lake really wants it with the Trump voice GPS. I have to see if that even exists. I guarantee you it probably does. Somebody has probably done that. Can you imagine this? If it gives you wrong directions or you messed up, you go, fake news. That was the wrong turn. You're the worst. You're terrible. Or you do a turn correctly. That was the best job. That was the best turn I've ever seen. The greatest turn. This is going to be the greatest trip you've ever done before. It would be great. Andrew, our teenage friend in Duval, says the Ari Hoffman Dodge Charger should be my first car. You know what? That's something to strive for, my friend. My first car, well, okay, there's a question. The first car I bought for myself was a Camaro, a 1987 Camaro I bought for $500, and it was $19.99. So that's the kind of shape that car was in. My technical first car was my grandfather's Camaro. That's the
okay.
first
So
one.
you bought that from your grandfather?
No. The first one was the 73, where the engine fell out of it, and that was in all bad shape. And I wish I had actually put the money into that instead. The 87 is the one that I bought.
Okay.
Then the 99 was the one my grandfather got to replace the 73. And that one, when he couldn't drive it anymore, he gave me the 99. That's my Camaro history there.
So what year was it for 500?
Okay. So
no, I don't need the whole thing.
That was the 87, which I bought in 99 for $500.
Yeah, what was that, a V6?
That was a V8. It was in
$500?
It was in terrible shape, man. It was in terrible shape. I had to drop my entire summer salary into that car, which should tell you how bad shape that sucker was in. I never should have bought it.
My first car was a Camaro as well.
Yes.
My other nickname is Camaro Kev.
Yeah, it is.
Nicknames are given, not chosen, people. But mine was an 85, and I bought it in 95, right after I graduated.
Yeah.
And it was like $1,500.
Yeah, no, this one, I'm telling you, dude, I overpaid. This thing was
really?
insane. It was
that bad?
It was that bad.
It was 2 years newer than mine, and you're saying it was ridden hard and put away well.
Exactly. I never should have bought that thing. I mean, the 73 where the engine fell out of it, that one I would have been better off with than this one if it tells you the kind of shape it's in. Look, I miss that 96 Camaro. I love that sucker. The only reason I got rid of that is because my wife said to me, hey, we're about to have a second kid, and you can't get the first one in the back seat of that thing, so maybe think about something else. And that's when I bought my first Dodge Charger. Was actually right after that, because I said, I want my muscle car, but I need 4 doors. I'm getting the Dodge Charger.
There you go.
That's
right.
how that happened. I had rented one from Hertz on vacation. I'm like, this thing rules. This thing is great. She wants me to get a 4-door. I will get that. So that's when I started buying Dodge Chargers. And guess where I started buying them from? Even before I had a radio show anywhere else, my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. That's where I was buying cars from long before I even had a radio show. So yes, brand loyalty pays off, my friends. But also, they have great service and everything else. Was this whole thing just to do that? No, it was not that. This one here, Pam in Lake Stevens. Pam says she didn't hear the whole conversation before, but yes, do the Ari edition of the Charger. I think everybody's on board with this whole thing. Seems like, here, this one. John in Lakewood. The Hoffman Edition Ice Charger. F yeah. But it must have an AR and shotguns on board. Oh, that's very, very good. He gets a little more descriptive, but I'm not going to read all that on air. That was very, very good. Very good. So it seems like everybody wants this car. I think it's a great idea. I definitely have to talk to my friends over there. This one here from John in Lakewood, he adds, my first car was a red 1962 Oldsmobile Cutlass F85 with manual. Wow. Good on you, man. Good on you. Ernie says his first car was a 69 Camaro. That's a nice car. That's a beautiful, beautiful car. All right, switching gears. Now that we're talking about cars, let's talk about gas prices, shall we? Gas prices came tumbling down today per barrel. You're not going to see that at the pump. Yesterday, I was so mad. I'm driving home, and I see my gas station in front of me, and I see that big truck, the double truck, show up to fill up the tanks. Because the problem is, even if everything is solved today, those gas prices, they don't come down until your gas station has cycled through all the gas they bought at the higher prices. So it's going to take a little while, my friends. And I see my gas station filling up today, or 2 days ago when I was coming home. That was bad news. So today we get the news that U.S. and Iranian negotiators have, according to Axios, reached an agreement on a 60-day memorandum of understanding extending the current ceasefire, launching negotiations on Iran's nuclear program, but the deal still needs President Donald Trump's final approval. Now, for me, why do we need to launch negotiations on the nuclear deal? You want a memorandum of understanding extending the ceasefire? Give us the nuclear dust. Give that to us. I hope this report is wrong. Just a 60-day extension of a ceasefire so we can continue doing this will they, won't they? It's like Friends and it's like Friends with Ross and Rachel. Will they, won't they? No. Give us the nuke. What are you giving us in exchange for this? Well, they say that the Strait of Hormuz will be unrestricted, meaning no tolls or harassment, and that Iran will have to remove all mines from the strait within 30 days. Okay, that's a little bit of a win, but give us the nuclear stuff. The U.S. naval blockade will also be lifted, but that only happens if they do what they have to do. It will include an Iranian commitment to not pursue a nuclear weapon. Oh, for 60 days? I think they can do that. Also state the first issues to be negotiated during the 60-day window will be how to dispose of Iran's highly enriched uranium and how to address Iranian enrichment. Well, no, I don't say you get that's what we've been wanting this whole time. I hope this report is wrong. I hope the deal is better than that. So, of course, when Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is doing a press conference today, this is the first question he gets. Here's his answer.
The teams have been going back and forth, and President Trump has made it very clear, he talked about it at the cabinet meeting, that he has several red lines. And Iran has to turn over their highly enriched uranium. They cannot pursue a nuclear weapon. And the Strait of Hormuz, back to your question on energy, has to free transit. Navigation of the seas has to be free and open as it was before. So he's not going to take a bad deal. He's going to make a great deal for the American people.
Now, Scott Bessent was out there to calm everybody on the economy. That's why they sent him out there today, because inflation is going up a bit and gas prices are up. And when you promise a golden age, a lot of people are going, I don't feel it in my wallet. And you don't want to have a Joe Biden situation. You don't want to have that kind of situation with, isn't the economy wonderful? Isn't it great? And you look around and go, it ain't that great right now. You got to say, we want the nuclear dust. Now, I really hope this report is an early draft of the plan, not the actual plan, because a lot of people are going to be mad about this. If this is the actual plan, I'm not big on it at all. Are there bright points? Sure. Scott Bessent told us some of them.
The U.S. energy dominance Part of our resilience stems from our energy dominance. Natural gas is down, is my belief, and the futures market is showing us oil will be lower than pre-conflict levels. We are more resilient to energy price fluctuations due to President Trump's energy dominance and deregulatory agenda. The United States is now the world's largest energy exporter. The United States has never exported so much energy or produced so much energy. Main Street prosperity, the average 401k is up almost $30,000 since President Trump's inauguration. President Trump RX has already saved Americans over $600 million. I'm sure all of you will want to report on that. And the unemployment rate remains low at 4.3%.
That's all good news, but the average American is going to go, yeah, but my gas prices are high, which means my groceries are high, which means everything else is high. Well, the stock market was very excited that this deal may be a thing. Here's CNBC giving us the report on what happened today.
We're live from Studio B at the NASDAQ market site. I'm Melissa Lee along with Mike Santoli. Stocks higher today as markets react to news of a potential deal between the U.S. and Iran. Record closing highs for everything. The Dow, very small gain. Bigger moves for the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and the Russell 2000.
Now, that's all great. That's all wonderful, but people want to feel it in their wallets. And people also want to think that this war was for something, which I believe it was. I believe it's just. I believe the cost is worth it. But I believe we have to get the nuclear dust. And I'm not in favor of extending a ceasefire when we don't even know who we're negotiating with over there. Are you negotiating with the IRGC? Are you negotiating with some kind of government that's trying to form from the civilians? Who are you actually negotiating with over there? And the Iranians stalled out negotiations over this for decades while killing Americans. I hope this report is inaccurate. But what President Trump is doing the calculations on is things ain't so great right now with the economy and are heading into the midterm elections. So how do you mitigate those problems? How do you mitigate the problems for the average American while still keeping America safe? That's the challenge right now. That's the challenge right now. And these are very important decisions, and these are very, very complicated decisions that he has to make. You know who wasn't capable of making these decisions and just said, hey, let's pay out all the money, let's pay out all the money, let's pay out all the money? Joe Biden. Holy cow. Jill Biden did an interview because she's shilling a new book. So she does an interview, and she drops this little gem on everybody.
Were you horrified as you saw it unfold?
I wasn't horrified. I was frightened because I had never, ever seen Joe like that.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
Before or since? Never.
Or since?
Yes, or
You've
since.
never seen him like
Never.
that?
No.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke.
So why didn't you take him to the hospital? Why didn't, at the next commercial break, you said he's not feeling well, let's take him to the hospital? Because you liked the power. You thought you could hang on to it for longer, and you were counting on the media to spin it for you. Never seen him like that before or after? I mean, really, Joe Biden, we have montage after montage after montage of him doing this. You never saw it before or after? Hang on, does any of this ring a bell to you?
You need a montage. Even Rocky had a montage.
Watch me. If you think I don't have the energy level or the mental acuity. The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway. From Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa. Of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. The idea that Los Angeles and what am I doing here? For two reasons. One, we haven't been able to communicate it in a way that is Let me say another way. But the nature, not a solid meeting with they make a very good point. Here's the deal. Here's what drives the driver in the states that are affected. Here's what you can do, the drivers.
So we know she's lying about never seen it before or after, because that montage is from the beginning of his term when he wasn't in his bad shape. By the end of it, the montages are so much worse, we felt bad playing them anymore, given the bad shape he was in. So if you thought he was having a stroke, why didn't you take him to the hospital? Why didn't you take him to the hospital? Why'd you do this with him afterwards?
I can't thank you all enough for staying and for being here and for all your support. Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Lie!
Okay. If you think somebody's having a stroke, you don't care about a political rally. You don't care about saving face. You get them to the hospital. Our very own Representative Adam Smith from here in Washington was saying he knew about Joe Biden's decline. In fact, he said this on our show after that interview. We called him after that disastrous debate performance. We had him on the show, and he said, yeah, I told them not to run Joe Biden because I knew something like this was going to happen.
The president decided he was going to run for re-election after the wins in the 2022 midterm elections. Now we're hearing this from Jill Biden. Is it productive for her to be out there saying these things at this point, in your view?
I don't think it's terribly productive, and it's sad and it's dishonest. I mean, just think of the two sentences. She said, I saw him on the debate stage. I thought he was having a stroke. And then in the next breath, she says, no, I didn't see any evidence of cognitive decline. Come on. I mean, and this is something that was a huge problem for my party. I mean, it was very clear, probably a couple years out, that Joe Biden was not going to be a credible candidate for president because of his age and declining health. That, to my mind, that's not even debatable. And yet Jill and the family and a whole lot of his advisors around him, for whatever reason, dug in and said, we're going to jam him forward. And we've paid a terrible, terrible price for that. And the final point on this is every one of us Democrats out there who saw that Biden was going to run and there was no stopping him, we had to try and defend it, which undermined our credibility as individuals and our credibility as a party. So it really weakened us in 2024. They should have seen it. They just should have seen it. And the only thing I want to hear from Jill Biden is, I'm sorry. We should have said something sooner.
And just remember, that wasn't in the autopsy. Joe Biden's declining health was not in the autopsy of the 2024 election that the Democrats just published last week. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Jeff in Olalla. Jeff, what's going on?
Well, I like Trump and all that. We're, year and a half in, but we're $40 trillion in debt. There's only three ways to handle this: cut spending, raise taxes, or print money. So I guess we're going to print money with Trump's picture on it.
Well, I hope we don't end up doing that, because that would be bad news. That's the Biden method. And I hope we don't end up doing that. I mean, if they're counting on the tariffs, paying off our bills here, it ain't going to do it, guys.
Yeah, where's their Doge checks at? I haven't seen that yet.
Yep, and this is the problem, is that a lot of people who support President Trump are starting to have some issues. Now, mind you, I know a lot of people still support President Trump, and you think he can pull it out. And you know what? I hope that he does, and we all want him to. But this is the problem heading into the midterms right now, which is why I hope we either go in and finish the job in Iran, or whatever it is, we figure out a way to bring down gas prices, because the average American is getting tired of this.
Wasn't he going to stop the Ukrainian war in a day, too?
Well, let's take the Ukrainian war for a second there. He tried that one, and you know what? He said, okay, well, what's the best deal we can get out of this? And at least now we're getting something for our money, and there's not an unlimited supply of money going out of there. Joe Biden was just sending in the checks. At least now we have a deal with Ukraine that makes a little bit more sense. Beforehand, we had nothing. Jeff, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, my friends, Katie Wilson. Oh, the gift that keeps on giving. Can things get any worse? Now she's losing staff. That means they're jumping ship. We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, we are running 2 contests today, my friends. That's right, 2 contests. The first one is you can win a pair of tickets to an advanced screening of Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg's latest flick, which is going to be at AMC South Center on June 8th. You go to KVI website, that's kvi.com, to enter to win. You can only enter over on the website. The other one is you can win a pair of tickets to the Roy Rodeo, which is going to be next Saturday and Sunday. That's next Saturday and Sunday, June 6th and June 7th, which means on next Saturday, Kevin himself, Camaro Kev, as he says, Kevin will be there. Mr. KVI himself will be out there, along with young Zach. And on Sunday, you get to see me. Now, you can win 2 tickets to the Roy Rodeo by texting the word ROPE. That's R-O-P-E, as in I'm going to rope myself a Bronco. Text the word ROPE, R-O-P-E, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. Did you know that Seattle just dropped $60 million to buy a 150-unit apartment building in Belltown, right near Pike Place Market and the waterfront? So we don't have money for anything around here, but we're going to buy a whole bunch of apartments for the homeless people. You know what, Kevin, I've been doing life wrong. I should just identify as homeless. I get a free apartment. I get a free phone. What else am I going to get paid for? I get food cards. I get free medical care. I can learn to do drugs. Well, that's probably not good long term, but look at all the free stuff I get. I am doing life wrong. I can have a Belltown apartment if I identify as homeless. $60 million in a city that doesn't have the money? Are you kidding me with this? But that's what Seattle's spending. Well, looks like somebody's jumping ship from Katie Wilson's staff. It's the latest exodus from her staff. John Grant, a senior advisor on homelessness, has resigned. Do you think that's because the dude used to work for Lehigh? And he goes, wait, if we just drop $60 million on this building, I know the perfect guy to run it, and then I don't have to deal with Mayor Forehead anymore. Then I can just run the thing myself. This is great. I can go back to Homeless Inc. Is that what it was? Or do you think he got tired of Katie Wilson? Which one is it? They're basically carrying out the guy's plan. From the beginning, she said, we need more housing, we need more housing, we need more housing. Not, we need, drug treatment, and we need mental health services. No, we need more housing, right? In the statement of Como News on Wednesday, Interim Chief of Staff Esther Handy, her Chief of Staff is gone too. So now you got Esther Handy, who's the new Chief of Staff, right, her, said Grant chose to resign effective June 1st after playing a key role in advancing the mayor's highest priority, accelerating the development of new shelters with wraparound services to bring people inside. How do you think that's going to go? So you do the $60 million purchase, and then dude goes, hey, I know who can get that six-figure salary running that thing. Is that what it is? Hang on a second. Handy said Grant helped develop and implement the mayor's Shelter Accelerator executive order. Worked to pass three key pieces of legislation and provide support to Seattle social housing developer through a key period. We thank him for his work in these critical first few months of the new administration and wish him the best going forward. According to Como News, Grant served as a senior policy advisor specializing in housing and homelessness since Wilson's term began, but prior to that, he had spent just shy of 5 years as chief strategy officer for the Low Income Housing Institute, an organization that develops, owns, and operates housing for the benefit of low-income homeless and formerly homeless individuals in Washington state. Oh, wait a minute. I see what's going on here. So what happened is you guys bought the thing he wanted you to buy, and now he accomplished it. So I accomplished what I wanted. I'm out of here. Is that why she has so much staff turnover? If I can get the mayor to do what I want, then I can get out of here with the quickness. And look what I just got, a $60 million apartment building. And who do you think the city's going to get to run it? Well, let's see. There's only three organizations they're going to get: Lehigh, Plymouth Housing, or the Downtown Emergency Services. Which one do you think is going to run this one? You want my prediction? My prediction is there's going to be an announcement soon. You know that apartment building we bought down near the waterfront? Hey, we just got Lehigh to run the thing. Or it's going to be, hey, we got Plymouth Housing to run the thing. Guess who's going to be working for Plymouth Housing? John Grant. Just watch. Just watch. I am never wrong about these things. Just watch. Just watch. I guarantee it. Up next, my friends, lots more to discuss. Pete Serrano is going to be stopping by to tell us about the Department of Justice taking on Turd Ferguson and his radical agenda, my friends. That's right. He's going to come give us the full skinny on what Turd Ferguson is doing to prevent ICE agents from actually doing their jobs here in Washington. Also, don't forget, my friends, happening right now over on the website, you can win a pair of tickets to an advanced screening of Disclosure Day at AMC South Center. Just head on over to KVI.com right now to do it. Make sure you go on over there while you're there, subscribe to the podcasts, and enter to win, and make sure to become a KVI insider. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.